Welcome back to Arsenal News TV, and today we're going to look at how Arsenal could line up versus Brentford, as it is the first Premier League game for the Gunners, and it is a very tough one, I think, in my opinion, versus Brentford, as Arsenal do have a very tough start in the Premier League, as they do face the likes of Chelsea and Manchester City after this Brentford game. So in my opinion, the first game should be a must-win game for the Gunners to have a good start, to build some momentum, and to really show that they are able to have a good opportunity versus the other clubs such as Manchester City and Chelsea, even though we could likely lose against those two clubs. But they also do have the opportunity to really impress in the first game, to make Mikel's philosophy work in this squad, and we'll get right into the formation. So in terms of the formation, I think Mikel can either choose a 4-2-3-1 or a 3-4-3, and those are the two formations that I've seen Mikel really utilise throughout the whole transfer window, throughout the whole pre-season, and even before his time as an Arsenal manager. And the 4-2-3-1 formation is the formation I think Mikel is going to go with, given the fact that this is the formation used in the pre-season, and I don't see Arsenal referring back to a 3-4-3 formation, potentially due to the fact that our back three doesn't have the capacity like it did before, where we had a lot of centre-backs. Now we pretty much have the likes of Rob Holding, Ben White, Callum Chambers, Gabriel Magalhaes and Pablo Mari, so you could opt with the 3-back-3 formation, but I'd rather see him go with a 4-2-3-1, make it an attacking formation. I think we're the bigger club, even though we're in such of a turmoil right now. I think Arsenal should be able to compete with Brentford with a 4-2-3-1 formation. So in terms of how I think Mikel will line up the squad, and in terms of how he will line up the goalkeeper, I think anyone will be able to predict that the goalkeeper in the match today will be Bernd Leno, and I don't need to make any other guesses as to who will be the goalkeeper, as Bernd Leno will be the number one unless he faces some form of injury, which shows Arsenal's poor transfer business, that we don't have a backup goalkeeper. And we will have to hope that Bernd Leno does start versus Brentford, and he will be the number one goalkeeper until Arsenal do make some sufficient signings in the transfer market, and it shows how underprepared Arsenal are moving into the new season. So in terms of the right back position, I think this is a position where Mikel needs to strengthen a lot, because I think we have three average right backs. No offense to the players, but Callum Chambers is average, Cedric Soares is average, and Hector Bellerin is average in my opinion. With the likes of Hector Bellerin being linked to the move away, I think we should be able to see Hector Bellerin leave in the transfer window. We got until the 31st, it's the 13th today. So if he leaves, it will be a good piece of business by Arsenal. I don't mind if you get £2 million or £10 million or even £20 million. I want to see him leave the club, even though I'm a massive fan of Hector Bellerin on what he does off the pitch. On the pitch, I don't think he has been brilliant. I think he's had that moment where he's burst onto the scene. That's the only thing that can hype him as a player. But ever since then, injuries had really stunted his growth, and I think he's more or less just an average right back. But out of the three right backs there, I think there's a solid competition between the likes of Callum Chambers and Cedric Soares. But looking at the training pictures, looking at the way Mikel and using the famous bib theory, I think Mikel is going to go with Callum Chambers in that right back position, and he looks like the first choice right back at this football club. And I think Callum Chambers is decent. He is an average right back, but I think he could make improvements to his game. I think he should improve on his ability to really use his pace, which he really lacks, and that's something that we need to improve. We need to find a young, hungry right back, someone that has bags of pace, something that Hector Bellerin done when he burst onto the scene as a youngster. So moving into that right centre-back position, I think this is going to be a position like a few other positions in this team, where there will be one man in that position, and his name will be Ben White. And hopefully, with the likes of Ben White, we have a player that isn't injury prone, and he doesn't give us hopes where he cannot adapt to the Premier League, or he doesn't burst onto the scene straight away. He's a £50 million signing, so I expect £50 million signing performances. And even though in the pre-season friendlies he's only played 60 and 45 minutes respectively, I think he has impressed heavily. I think his positioning is something that is very important. I think he's a level above the centre-backs we have currently at the club, and I think that he could guide other players such as Gabriel Magalhaes into a right-left centre-back partner that could be very useful for Mikel defence for moving throughout the whole of the new season. So in that right centre-back position is Ben White, and I think he can use his ability to break line breaking passes. He can break the defense and turn it into a sack, and I think his ability to drive the ball forward is something that Mikel will be able to utilize, and I think he's very good at player, and I think also lucky to bring a player such as Ben White, and he's a level above the players that we currently have at this squad, but it shows there is some intention, but I do want to see more moves made in the transfer market. So in terms of the left centre back position, I think this is going to be a position where we will have two players fighting to get out, two players battling it out for that position, those two players being Gabriel Magalhaes and Pablo Mari. And I think those two left centre-back players are players that I really enjoy at this football club. I think both of them have a very good mutual respect. They do understand the way they play the game, and they're both fighting hard to make that spot theirs, and that's something I really enjoy. But one thing that Gabriel Magalhaes has that Pablo Mari doesn't is the pace, and he has that aggressive nature on his ability, and that's something that it could complement very well with Ben White's calm and composure technique and style. And with the player like Pablo Mari, I think we'll be too calm and composed, and in the recent pre-season friendly versus Tottenham and the one before versus Chelsea, I think Pablo Mari has looked a little bit shaky, and if you can outpace him and make him struggle with the new setup Mikel has with this high line, I think this will be where we need Gabriel Magalhaes. But since Gabriel Magalhaes hasn't still recovered to full fitness, in that position it will be Pablo Mari. And Pablo Mari is a player that I do like, but the way Arteta has been playing the formation with having a very high line, I think it doesn't adapt to his style. So moving into the left back position, like I said, there are going to be players where I just state a player straight away, and in the right position it was Ben White, and in the left back position we do have some good competition in my opinion with the likes of both Kieran Tierney and Nuno Tavares. And I think Nuno Tavares is someone that I think looks very good, and I think he's someone that is very passionate, someone that wants to work hard, and I think he has the capability and the capacity to really turn out to become a good left back. But that shows Arsenal's recruitment, where we have two good players in one position, but at the same time Arsenal did need to get a left back cover to Kieran Tierney. So we do have that backup now in the form of Nuno Tavares. Would I love him to start? Yes, I do. But I think Kieran Tierney is miles above, and he's got the adaptation to the Premier League in the last 2-3 seasons. And Kieran Tierney will be the player that starts in that left back position. And with Kieran Tierney, I think we have a player that will start to impress further and further, and hopefully he doesn't have an injury hit season and helps also reach the upper reaches of the Premier League. So moving into the midfield, I think there is two positions which need to be filled, and those two positions will be filled by a particular set of players, and those two players will be Sambi Lokonga and Granit Xhaka. And that midfield pivot is something that Mikel will probably utilise until Thomas Partey returns to training and returns to match fitness, because I think when it comes to that right centre mid position, we need improvements. We have been linked to the likes of Jose Mawa, we have been linked to the likes of Martin Odegaard, but hopefully Mikel adapts his formation to having a number 6 with two central midfielders, or he trades a formation where we get other players in to play in that midfield position as well. We were linked with the likes of Locatelli previously. Those sorts of players in that midfield area, like Ruben Neves, those sorts of players is something that we need at this football club. And we definitely need a midfielder throughout the transfer window. But in that right centre mid position, I would love to see Albert Sambi Lokonga ahead of the likes of Mohamed Elneny, because he is a bright young prospect. He doesn't know the Premier League, but he can make that big step forward, and he could be a massive upgrade on the likes of Mohamed Elneny. But we do have players such as Maitland-Niles that could operate in that midfield role. If he wants to make that position his, then he has an opportunity to impress in that position as well, as a young prospect as well. And partnering him, it will be Granit Xhaka, as we still haven't announced the fact that he has signed a new deal. But Xhaka will definitely be a regular starter under Mikel Arteta, unless I do think that he doesn't impress, and he should be sold as well. But with the new deal given to Xhaka, there has been mixed reactions, but we have to take it. We have to think that this is for all the good, and hopefully Granit Xhaka turns out to be a success at this football club. So moving into that number 10 role, I think there's only one man in that position. Like I said, like when we talked about the right centre mids, right centre back, the left back position, there's going to be a certain one of the first few names on the team sheet. In that number 10 role, wearing the number 10 t-shirt, his name is Emil Smith-Rowe, and he is someone that definitely will be starting versus Brentford, and he's someone that I think was really impressive throughout the pre-season friendlies, I think he has a little bit of spark and he has a little bit more of a goal threat as well. That's something that he's adding to his game, which is he previously talked about in the interview when he signed a new long-term deal. He talked about it like in the latter stages where he was given post-match interviews, and I think he wants to score more goals, and that's something that we need. We need goals from midfield. Maybe somebody like Lokonga may not be able to operate that, but Granit Xhaka should be able to score goals as well, because he does have the ability to score from a long range. And Tabi Lokonga could play as a number 6, which I could see Mikel Arteta really changing his formation until we get the players after the transfer window closes, and we could go with a 4-3-3 formation, something that Guardiola, something like Jurgen Klopp operates, and even the likes of Chelsea operate as well. So moving into that right winger position, I think he's going to be a player that I want to see impress in this season, set the Premier League alight, and really make a huge impact throughout the whole of this new season, and show why he is a £72 million player, and his name is Nicolas Pepe. And the reason why I'm going to go with Nicolas Pepe in that right winger role is the fact that Pepe is someone that I do enjoy, and he has a technical flair, and he has someone that has a very good relationship in that right flank. When I see him and Hector Bellerin work, it's like two poles, one south pole, one north pole repelling each other. But when I see Callum Chambers and Nicolas Pepe, there is that relationship, and if you give Nicolas Pepe the freedom to get inside the box to do his skills and make an impact, I think he's a top level player. And I think Nicolas Pepe in that right winger role is something that we would love to see, and that's something that I would love to see. So moving into that left winger role, I think if we have Nicolas Pepe on the right, we're going to have the likes of Bukayo Saka on the left, because I am going to definitely put both these players definitely in the squad somehow. And Bukayo Saka, like I said, with the likes of Smith Rowe, Tierney, Ben White, will be one of the first players on the team sheet. And Saka has a capacity. We've seen what he's done with England, we've seen what he's done with Arsenal the previous season, and we've seen how much he has to carry the Arsenal squad. And when it comes to competition to Bukayo Saka, we have the likes of Willian, which I think should be sold, but we cannot be sold. So it's another poor signing by the likes of Mikel Arteta and Adu, especially with the Kia Jarabshian thing. And when we have the likes of Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang seems to be ill, and he's probably not going to feature in the next game or this game, and that's a really bad start towards Talisman in my opinion. Starting to show where his mentality is. It's easy to get ill, but if he's going to start with an ill mindset where he's going to not be able to feature, I think this could lead to bad things with Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang's career at Arsenal, like what Mesut Ozil did as well, and that's something that's starting to come towards my eyes. So moving into that striker role, I think we had talked about the likes of Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, but Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang is not going to be featuring in the Brentford game, as confirmed by Arsenal and confirmed by a range of sources such as The Athletic and other sources as well. And in terms of Lacazette, he's not also going to feature as well. Apparently he is ill and he won't feature as well. But I think there could be other signs, such as stating the fact that he could be leaving. And we did discuss today in the first video of today where we talked about also potentially offloading the likes of both Aubameyang and Lacazette to find funds for Tammy Abraham. But this leaves us with really two strikers that could be able to feature, like Gabriel Martinelli and Folarin Balogun. And I want to see if Martinelli given the opportunity in that number 9 role. He's a top level player. He's someone that Mikel Arteta hasn't given the chances last season. Hopefully he learns from his mistakes and puts him this season, and he should be the starter for the Gunners. And Martinelli for me is someone that he works hard, he works his socks off, and we see clearly his mentality as he just had the Olympics 2 days after he's back in Arsenal training, and he's a top level player, and hopefully he gets some goals and assists to show why we hype this player up so much. Make him the next Bukayo Saka, the next Smith Rowe, and that dynamic trio of Saka, Smith Rowe, Martinelli, and with a bit more experienced heads such as Tierney and Ben White, I think we're really starting to see a revolution of young players and a new season, a new way of playing, and a new mentality and a new generation of success, hopefully with the Gunners. So this is, I think, how Mikel Arteta will line up Arsenal, and if he lines Arsenal up like this, I will be very happy, because I do like the likes of Bernd Leno because we have no other option. Callum Chambers, I think, is a solid right back, even though I don't mind Cedric Soares there as well, but his defensive side of the game could be a problem against Brentford's attacking side and their back 5 sort of thing, and Callum Chambers' balance is something that makes him more of a suitable right back. Ben White is a definite starter. Pablo Mori is our only option really at that left centre-back position. Tierney will be the superior to Nuno Tavares unless Nuno Tavares can play right back. That's something that I want to see because he has very strong right foot. Xhaka and Lokonga is the partnership that we currently can put, so I do want to see more midfielders bought into the from the transfer market. At least one midfielder in that centre midfield role, because we can't go with this the same. Apart from Lokonga, we need another midfielder, and a bit more experienced player in my opinion, and someone that could make an impact straight away from the off. And in the attacking roles, I like the likes of nicolas Pepe at right wing, Smith Rowe in the number 10, Saka in that left wing. And I would want to see Gabriel Martinelli, and hopefully Mikel Arteta doesn't make the mistake of putting Willian Balogun ahead of Martinelli. Martinelli's fit, he's match fit, and he should be starting in my opinion. And I think this will be a very good lineup to beat the likes of Brentford, and I think we will be very useful in terms of the way we play, and if we're efficient with these young players, I think we can make a huge impact throughout the whole season. And I'm very scared, at the same time nervous, at the same time happy, and I'm at the same time excited for the Arsenal game. So make sure you guys leave in the comments what you guys think about this predicted lineup. Do you think this is the best predicted lineup we can go with moving into the new season? And I want to see your lineups, I want to see your 11 players in the comments below, and I want to give my views. And hopefully we get this win versus the Gunners. I have some videos on the screen right now and you can click any of those, and I'll see you there.